Hey guys, so welcome to my reaction video for episode 6 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the ABC show for Marvel. In this episode, you guys, basically the agents find um, a helmet of the Chitauri from the events of the Avengers, and there's a firefighter that possesses this helmet. And let me just adjust the camera here. And basically, he's just kind of holding on to it. Like he says in one part of the episode, he's cleaning it and taking care of it and stuff. But what's really the problem with doing that is basically there's these harmful fumes that are coming out of this helmet, and it basically infects those around them. Anybody who gets who's airborne to this area that the helmet's in. So this firefighter's infected, and eventually some of the agents of that Coulson works with get infected as well. So basically, the other agents, specifically the agents that are very good with science, have to find a cure. So that way, for those who are infected and haven't died from these fumes yet, basically will get cured, and that way this Chitauri helmet will be put away in a portion of Shield that holds on to artifacts such as the Chitauri helmets from the Avengers events and everything. And basically, so that throughout the episode, they have to try to find a cure, and there's some really risky, life-threatening things that happen on the way of finding this cure to these fumes. So tonight's episode, you guys, I liked it, but I gotta be honest, episode 1 and 2 are still it still kind of defines what I think Agents of Shield should be on ABC. And I gotta be honest, this episode did not live to that expectation once again. Um, even the episode with the guy that had fire powers, that one wasn't too long ago. I thought even that episode was a little bit better than this one. Um, so for positives and negatives, I caught Captain America, Iron Man, a lot of Avengers references in this episode, and a lot of Item 47 references as well. Even one of the actors from Item 47, the short film from Marvel, had an appearance in this film about 2 times, I would say. So that was kind of interesting seeing that character come back for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show. The good use of the Chitauri, that's the kind of the first time, I think, even since maybe the pilot, since we've heard or talked about or seen something from the Chitauri in an episode. So I thought how they kind of used that for this tonight's episode, I thought was very interesting. Um, there was some interesting life-threatening and thrilling moments in this episode. There was really a lot of moments in this episode where you really thought some of these people, some of these characters were really going to die. Like this is going to be the last episode we were going to see them in. And really a lot of really thrilling moments in this episode. So good job to whoever directed this episode. There really was some really thrilling moments in this episode. There was also an exclusive Thor 2 clip that was shown during one of the commercial breaks, so that was pretty cool. So for those who are into Marvel stuff, I hope you see Thor 2: The Dark World this weekend, just like I plan on doing so. Um, the I forget her name. I think her last name is Henstridge. Whoever agent plays that character, I like how she felt more important in this episode because to me in earlier episodes, she was kind of annoying. Kind of specifically in the really early episode, she was just kind of annoying, just kind of there just to be a part of the team and to be kind of the sciencey, geeky agent. And I like how in this episode they really made her feel important, and this episode I thought was a good representation as to um, why she's an important part of the team and why she's there. So I liked how I guess I apologize I forget that agent's name, but she's the sciencey geeky one. So I like how in this episode they kind of show her importance to the team in this episode. Um, Coulson's kind of how he people thought he died in the Avengers. I liked how this episode kind of went back and it talked about it some more. It's still not quite clear as to how he survived that altogether, but they do briefly talk about it some more, and they kind of talk about how it was both the neatest and the most scariest thing that happened to him at one point in his life. And so I thought that was kind of interesting side of we get to see an interesting side of Coulson's character throughout this episode for that. Um, for the negatives, I didn't think this episode had a lot of action. I really think it should have. It just really not a lot of action scenes in this episode, so I was kind of disappointed in that sense. Um, some of the stuff that happened in the previous episode, with Sky betraying the team and everything else, It felt a little fluffed over in this episode. Like, they briefly talked about it. There's, I would say, two small moments where they kind of talked about it a little bit. They didn't really show anything or do anything, or we didn't see any more characters from that episode exclusively to that episode that we saw in this one. So I thought it was kind of dumb that they just kind of fluffed over a little bit, like, oh yeah, yeah, that happened, and Sky's just randomly back, and she's perfectly fine now, and I didn't like how they just kind of fluffed over it, went right immediately back into the episode. It's just like, okay, that was kind of stupid. Um, there was some really cheesy and fake looking moments in this episode. One dealing with one of the agents jumping out of the plane with I don't with a parachute on his back. It was how they handled that part of the episode. I thought was really really cheesy. Um, Overall, just not a very good episode. It's not bad. It's good. I wouldn't say it was great. I mean, there was just a lot of parts of the episode. It's like, okay, pick up the pace, or oh, that was just kind of dumb, and so just not one of the better episodes. Basically, besides the Chitauri references that were shown a lot throughout this episode, that was basically the only one of the few good things about it. And also, not a lot of crossovers. Like, not a lot of things that might cross over into a future episode, and a lot of things that happened in previous episodes that crossed over into this one. Besides, Sky talking about some of the stuff that happened in the previous episode, but like I said, it was just kind of fluffed over, and they really didn't do a lot with it. So I like tonight's episode, you guys. It wasn't horrible, but at the same time, it wasn't great. Not one of the better episodes, I don't think. Like I said, it was good, but it just, you know, I think it's safe to say that every episode of the show has been better than episode 3. Episode 3 was a pile of junk. Um, but I think they just could have done a lot more with this episode, kind of like with some of the other ones. But 1 and 2 still my favorite out of the whole season. I think those are my 2 favorite episodes still so far. Um, so yeah, like I said, some occasional good stuff, you guys. Not a lot of great things in this episode, but who knows? Maybe next week's episode might bring something interesting and new to the table. And see Thor 2: The Dark World this weekend.